Greetings everyone! Welcome to the Sonic the Hedgehog issue 60 review. This is the second stop on our pre-Iron Dominion marathon, or the third stop of the World Tour arc. Yes, at this point in the comic, Sonic and Tails are traveling around Mobius hunting down the wizard Ixis, making stops along the way. So far they helped Knuckles in a Robin Hood-like area called Mercia, and encountered warring versions of previously goofy characters. Now the journey takes them to a place known as the Dragon Kingdom. Sonic and Tails are searching the area for any sign of Ixis when they start feeling some intense heat. And here's the reason: an entire mountain's on fire. They spy a village at the base of the mountain and head over to one of the houses. They ask this person for some water, but she can't share any. She says that the mountain, called Mount Stormtop, has been burning for 100 straight days, and without what little water they have left, they would perish. Leaving's not an option because this guy, Lee Ewan, says this place has been their home for generations. He goes on to explain that the reason for the fiery mountain is because the village refused to bow to the tyrannical Iron King. So his wife, the Iron Queen, used her magic to set the mountain ablaze. The only thing that could put out the fire is the enchanted fan of Fen Sheen, which is in the Iron King's possession. With the exposition out of the way, Sonic and Tails are off to get the fan. Unfortunately, the Iron Queen's been watching them through her staff. The Iron King says that they're here to cause mischief, which is an accurate statement by the way. But the Iron Queen has a surprise waiting for them in the form of Monkey Kong. And wouldn't you know it, the area is so humid that Sonic the Hedgehog needs a break. Storm clouds start appearing, and instead of bringing the relief of rain, it brings the pain of lightning. Yep, it's Monkey Kong, with funky eyes this time. Yeah, he's been brainwashed into serving the Iron King and ordered to crush his enemies. I do applaud Sonic for recognizing the brainwashing. The Iron Queen appears and reveals that she's the one brainwashing him, thanks to Monkey Kong being hot-blooded. Monkey Kong gains the upper hand and is about to knock Sonic over a cliff. Again with the cliffhanger pun. Tails swoops in and breaks the Iron Queen's staff. If you've been glancing at the dialogue during the review, don't worry, I'll get to that later. Monkey Kong regains his senses and the Iron Queen retreats for now. They look at the remains of the staff to find power rings. The Iron Queen used them to increase her power. Yeah, these guys mean business. But still, the magic fan is needed to blow out the mountain, so the group heads onward. Though Monkey Kong has reservations. They reach the Iron Fortress and head on inside without incident. Eventually they come across the door to the Arsenal room and come under attack by the Iron King. Sonic and Monkey Kong keep the Iron King busy while Tails searches for the fan. He finds it and hands it over to Sonic, who tests the weapon out on the Iron King. And just like that, he's blasted, as Sonic puts it, to the next time zone. They return to Mount Stormtop to finally put out the flames. The Iron Queen reappears for one final attempt to stop them, but Sonic unleashes the fan on the mountain. With the flames out, the Iron Queen retreats again, swearing revenge on Sonic. The villagers congratulate the group, and Tails says they couldn't have done it without Monkey Kong's help. Lee Ewan then mentions a prophecy foretelling the ascension of a Monkey King. First of all, this Monkey King thing comes completely out of nowhere, and second, you misspelled surprised. And of course, the story ends with Sonic being jealous. Our second story features Sally and her father talking about recent events, notably the Robian situation and his feelings on the matter. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. The king's been gathering his thoughts and decides to take Sally to a secret room in the palace. Said secret room contains a pool of silver and gold goo. This, according to the king, is the Acorn Legacy, the source of all. He goes on to explain that if Sally wishes to take over as ruler, she must be prepared to join with the source. Sally is ready to do whatever is necessary. But the king halts her, for she needs to find a suitable king to sit by her side. Sally jokingly says that Sonic would run for the hills at such a thought. But then all of a sudden, the king snaps. Holy crap, dude. You could have handled things a bit more delicately here. I mean, Sonic did help you out of your dimensional prison and free you from Ixis control, not to mention that the Hedgehog helped save the world from Robotnik numerous times. The king goes on to explain that the source helped guided his father into selecting Sally's mother, and the king considers Antoine for Sally's husband. Jeez, look at that smug face of his. Sally calls him out on trying to control her personal life, and he responds by threatening to take away her birthright. Sally then decides to sleep on it and leaves. The story ends with the king thinking if Sally's not up to the task, then he's considering another option. I want to go ahead and talk about the second story first. The idea of a mystical pool of goo that helped guided a royal family for generations? I'm actually alright with it. I mean, this is a world that has rings and emeralds as power sources, so this thing wouldn't be out of place. You'd think Robotnik would have discovered this place during his decade-long rule of the city, or that this place is relatively intact given disasters like a massive earthquake or something, but whatever. The big problem I have with the story is the king's attitude. He comes off as an arrogant jerk who believes he knows what's best for his daughter, and you must stick with tradition, and yada yada yada. That did get my blood boiling, so I took a break from preparing for this review and took a nap. When I got back to work, I had a thought as to why he's acting this way. He's trying desperately to cling on to the old ways. This is a king who was trapped in another dimension for over a decade and forced to endure harsh conditions, including servitude to an evil wizard. He was trying to latch on to something familiar, in which case it's the Acorn Legacy and the Source Pool. But here's the thing he does not get. Things won't be returning to normal. 10 years of fighting with Robotnik will do that to people. Plus, their reclaimed city is an absolute crap hole. Honestly, I'd rebuild elsewhere. Spoilers, they do later on. So yeah, the old traditional ways will harm the protagonist in the long run. I mean seriously, he wants Sally and Antoine to hook up? At this point, Antoine has moved on to Bunny. And what would Bunny think of all of this? I'm not trying to defend the king here, I'm just seeing where he's coming from. Another problem I have with the king is his treatment of the Robians, but this one's on a meta level. See, back in issue 55, the king was acting very irrational when it comes to the Robians. You know, the whole dismantling thing? Well, I'm going to be spoiling things here. I thought it was because he was possessed by Ixis Naugus at the time, as revealed in Sonic Super Special number 4. But here, the king was totally in control when he ordered the Robians dismantled, with that small nod to the possession. Well, given that it was Carl Bowlers who wrote the Rise of the Robians story and Return of the King, and Ken Penders who wrote this story, I think that speaks volumes on continuity. This story gets a 4 for being mediocre. The only thing that I really liked was Manny Galen's artwork. Now for the more interesting story. Remember when I said that Monkey Kong was based on the character Sun Wukong from Journey to the West? Well, this story is actually a very loose adaptation of one of Sun Wukong's adventures. Let me sum it up quickly. Sun Wukong goes to Princess Iron Fan, wife of one of his enemies the Bull King, to borrow a fan that blows powerful winds so he can blow out some fiery mountains. Princess Iron Fan refuses because, again, Sun Wukong and her husband are enemies. So Sun Wukong shapeshifts into a fly, enters Princess Iron Fan's mouth, went down to her stomach, and beats her up from the inside. She eventually surrenders the fan, but it was the wrong fan, which intensifies the fiery mountain. Sun Wukong goes back to Princess Iron Fan, this time shapeshifting into the Bull King, to get the correct fan this time. The real Bull King eventually returns and learns what happened. He uses some shapeshifting of his own to trick Sun Wukong into giving back the fan. Boy, the things you discover while trying to find out if the Iron King and the Iron Queen were based on Journey to the West characters. So yeah, the Iron King here looks like an ox, and the Iron Queen? Well, at first glance, if you ignore future issues, you would think she's a human that overdid it on the eyeshadow one day. Well, according to the letter section of issue 71, she's supposed to be a badger. Really? Do you see a badger out of this? To jump ahead a bit, the Iron Queen is indeed a human, and the marriage between her and the Iron King are just for a power play. There's no love between them. The Iron King is big and tough, but no match for the power of a magical fan. The Iron Queen's powers, at least in this issue, are typical witchcraft, with a power ring boost. I'll get more into what she can actually do when I start looking at the Iron Dominion saga proper. Like in issue 55's main story, it was written and drawn by Frank Strom. Sonic and Monkey Kong visually look different than in issue 55. This time they have big heads and smaller bodies. I know artists alter their style, but it's usually a gradual process. The story overall, I like it. It's Sonic, Tails, and later Monkey Kong helping a village by getting a powerful fan to blow out a fiery mountain. I've noticed Monkey Kong's powers were toned down because when we first met him, he annihilated egg robos with lightning no problem. Maybe keeping his ego in check reduced his power levels a bit, or perhaps being brainwashed humbled him a bit. Who knows? Now for the dialogue. It's like Frank at certain points decided to transplant lines from other popular media to this story. Let's see what's popular. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah! What else? How about Bart Simpson? He's pretty popular, right? The comics have been known to rip off / homage other media, and to be fair, this is pretty tame compared to other issues. Finally, again with this Monkey King prophecy. I know it's a Sun Wukong reference, but it comes out of nowhere here. Thankfully, the Iron Dominion saga explores this concept a little more. This story gets a 7, better than the first Monkey Kong story, and I always enjoy some world building. If you're following the World Tour arc, Sonic and Tails' next stop is the land of Down Under. If you're following the Road to the Iron Dominion marathon, our next stop will be Sonic Super Special number 8. Until then, have a good day and be safe. It must be a nightmare to brush hair that long every morning.